This KFAN podcast is sponsored by Builders and Remodelers, exclusive Twin Cities provider of Elements Windows. Get the highest quality windows at unmatchable value. Visit buildersandremodelers.com for more details.
Something unexpected happened after Jeremy Scott confessed to killing Michelle Schofield in Bone Valley Season 1.
Every time I hear about my dad, it's, oh, he's a killer. He's just straight evil.
I was becoming the bridge between Jeremy Scott and the son he'd never known.
At the end of the day, I'm literally a son of a killer.
Listen to new episodes of Bone Valley Season 2 starting April 9th on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
And boom!
Common man, no show prep, no solid plan. Spins a yarn, begins a tale. The esoteric approach won't fail. Tune in, it's time for Common Man. Common man, charms the housewives like no one can. What'd you shoot? Where'd we play? Non-stop nonsense on deck today. Tune in, it's time for Common Man.
Oh, boy. Why should anybody aspire to be a common man, an average man? Do you realize what it means to be average? That means you're the best of the lousiest, and the lousiest of the best. Now, if we demand more and more for producing less and less, while the have-not nations encourage and inspire and indeed require hard work and maximum effort, if we deify the common men while they encourage and reward the uncommon ones, well, the end result of such a lopsided race as that is too obvious to require elaboration.
I mean, it's like, hello? You just have to draw your own conclusions, people.
Yeah, Rosie.
We're happy for you. That sounds like a heck of a radio show. I might want to listen.
Hey, who is Johnny King?
It is Rachmaninoff.
Hey, who is Johnny King?
It is Vivaldi.
Right!
Very funny. Very funny.
Tampa Bay.
Yo, what up, Tennessee?
You can't have it both ways.
Correct!
You find this funny, Mr. Grow? You're smiling. Do you find this humorous? No, they're not. Do you find this humorous, Mr. Grow? You're laughing and smiling. I'm just wondering if you do. You didn't answer my question, Mr. Grow. Do you find this humorous?
No, I find this keeping with 4 years.
At least you're not smiling and laughing now. Oh, I guess you're back at it again now.
Back at it. We're going to be back at it today, too.
It was a nice run.
Do you believe in miracles? Yes! Yes, I do!
Ladies and gentlemen, we're seeing what a sophisticated offensive game plan looks like. You talk about...
I'm a fraud.
Yes.
He's the clown from Brown. He's the fourth in the north. This is the Common Man, Dan Cole.
And the Grunt begins at 5, actually. 3-minute pass contact more than 4, 2, 1. Greetings, good afternoon, and act to you and yours. It's your password for tomfoolery, skullduggery. I'm a radio dinosaur. This is my La Brea tar pit. Someday archaeologists and paleontologists will be sifting through the rubble that is 1600 Utica Avenue South, and they will stumble across my my skeletal remains.
Are you hearing that feedback?
Yeah.
Is the speaker on in there or something?
Well, but it's always on.
Is it too loud?
No. I'll try it. No.
We're going to have to come back to the Neumann?
No, this happens every once in a while, and I can't remember what the issue is. I think it's something on your end, but I don't remember. But I can hear it as well, yep. Might have to call Jess. But I don't think it's because it's not the speaker, because I could even I'll even turn it off. I just turned it way down. Speaker's now off. You can still hear it, right? It's still there, yeah. It's kind of like a hollow, sort of like what Meat Sauce probably hears in his head. Something really
I can
hollow,
slightly hear it, but it sounds better.
Vacuous. Yeah, but I have that speaker on every day, all day. That's it, and I usually have it up even louder than what it was. So I can hear it. It's an issue. It's a technological issue. And we have technicians here today. We have, there's all sorts of, it's just, the more things stay the same, the more they change, the more they stay the same. We might be rebuilding studios and such like that. It's going to be a grand time to be had by my cold dead rigor mortis laden lips it's not a Neumann anymore. It's an electro. Well, no, what is it called again? I don't remember the name of it. We don't use a Neumann anymore. Maybe that is part of the problem. I've always enjoyed, I do my best work with a Neumann BCM 104. And again, I realized that we ruined 3 of them, and I was to blame for the first, not the next 2. We've got an Electro Voice RE27 is what we employ now. A number of things that I wanted to touch on today, but I ran into Kevin Fallness in the right outside the studio. He was hosting today. Zacco was the producer, and they had Micheletti, and so I'm sure they didn't talk much hockey today. So maybe you and I should just spend 3 hours talking hockey. Do you think that was pretty much a 3-hour hockey-a-thon?
My guess, yes.
Yes, and that's okay too, because we're in the midst of trying to make our way into the Western Conference playoffs. But what Fallness said to me is he said he spent part of the day recanting the thrilling days of yesteryear, because I've brought this up before when Fallness has played Program Password with us. Matter of fact, he was here just, was it last week or was it 2 weeks ago? He played Program Password with us. And I've known Fallness longer than I've known you. Tend to be almost everybody still here in this building, because Fallness was with the Fan originally back when I first got here in 1993. He was, what was Spence's first name? I can't believe I can't remember his name. He was the producer of the Minnesota Vikings radio network, and Fallness worked for him. And Fallness then left. Spence went to Denver, Colorado, and I believe Fallness followed him to Colorado, and then Fallness made his triumphant return here to Minneapolis, St. Paul, and now works with the Wild. And he said he was recanting tales, the thrilling days of yesteryear, about working out of, I think the address was 610 Frontenac over in St. Paul, right off of Cretin and Vandalia. And, I mean, it's amazing how we have a state-of-the-art studios here at this place. We have Master Control. We have Studio A. We have what I would call Studio B across the glass here. We have studios for Cool 108. We have separate studios for Cool 108, for KDWB, for Cities 97, for the Crackpot Conservative Station, and for us here. And then we have all sorts of ancillary studios, and it's all state-of-the-art equipment. And back when we were at Frontenac, we were in an old house that had been converted into a radio station, and the Fan was located downstairs. There were only 2 stations in that building, KFAN and K102, and then we had Cities and another one, I think maybe KDWB. They were in the old Butler Square building over right across the street from Target, the Bullseye, and then we had a couple other stations somewhere. So we were in like 3 different locations. But Fallness, and if I repeat some of the stuff, because Fallness talked a little bit about it. My favorite story he brought up every time it would rain, the studio floors would flood.
Really?
Yeah, they would actually flood when we got a really heavy rain. So, you always worry, should we be walking around in here when there's electronic? Oh, yeah, you're safe. Don't worry about it, right? But my favorite story about Frontenac was So we're downstairs. The upstairs restroom one time overflowed. I think I've told this story on the air before, but it's been many, many years. So it overflowed. And then all of the water that overflowed from the toilet, and I remember you know why it overflowed, right? Because it got plugged up. It started seeping down the walls into the station. But here's the craziest part. Spence had a cubicle where he was up against that wall, and it came all down. And he had, you know how you'll thumbtack pieces of paper onto your because it's almost like a soft bulletin board, right, on your cubicle, right, that everybody has. Well, it soaked all of those papers that he had thumbtacked up there, and he never changed them. So they dried, and they were just sitting there.
You've got to be kidding me.
And it's like, and you looked up at the fluorescent lights, and you could see yellow water inside the fluorescent light. Oh, Tennessee, it was, back in the day, it was, and Fallness reminded me, I'd already put the cork in the bottle, but I was still smoking cigarettes, desperately trying to quit. I'd quit for 2 years, and I would buy cigarettes from people. Pete Stevens was the afternoon guy at K102 at the time, and he had heaters. He loved that I was struggling with it because I was buying individual cigarettes
like a business
for 50 cents a piece.
Yeah.
Right? So he's like, sure. So I'd buy 2 or 3 a day. So I was paying for his habit, but I was fooling myself thinking, well, if I only have 1 or 2, because I don't really want to start smoking again, but I couldn't stop myself. And then I finally went back to smoking heaters. But yeah, the urine stain cubicles at the radio station. It was, let's just say, Tennessee, we're much better off here on the 5th floor at 1600 Utica than we are over at 610 Frontenac. Though, the 610 Frontenac is where I first started. Did you know who Frankie Sappin is? We've talked about him, right? He and I share the same swing coach, Craig Warrion. That's where Craig first took me under his wing to help me. Hartman was doing the tee to green. He didn't want to do it. We used to do it Tuesday nights. He goes, I don't want to do it anymore. He recommended Craig Warrion. Craig did it for a year. Craig's not a pro radio guy. He's a pro golfer, right? So they said, we need somebody with Craig. Comment, how'd you like to do it? And I did. And then I asked Craig if he could help me out with my golf game, and he did. And when we would end the show at 9 o'clock in the middle of summer, we'd go behind the radio station at Frontenac, and I would hit the tops off dandelions. That's what I used. That's how he would teach me. We'd only have sun is completely dark by 9:15, 9:20 in the middle of summer. So between 9 o'clock and 9:15, I would hit the tops off of dandelions, and that's where I got my first lesson from master professional Craig Warren. So the Frontenac, near and dear to my heart. I'm glad Fallness brought it up today because he's one of the few, along with me. The only people that would remember it would be me, Barrero, Fallness, and Swedberg. We were the only people that worked at the old Frontenac building. And those were the days, my friend. We're glad that they came to an end. We'll take a break, peek at the purple. The Wolves with an astonishing comeback. The Twins finally win a baseball game. And we got other topics to get to as well here on the Common Man program on The Fan.
Something unexpected happened after Jeremy Scott confessed to killing Michelle Schofield in Bone Valley Season 1.
I just knew him as a kid.
Long, silent voices from his past came forward.
And he was just staring at me.
And they had secrets of their own to share.
Gilbert King. I'm the son of Jeremy Lynn Scott.
I was no longer just telling the story. I was part of it.
Every time I hear about my dad, he's a killer. He's just straight evil.
I was becoming the bridge between a killer and the son he'd never known.
If the cops and everything would have done their job properly, my dad would have been in jail. I would have never existed.
I never expected to find myself in this place. Now, I need to tell you how I got here.
At the end of the day, I'm literally a son of a killer.
Bone Valley, Season 2. Jeremy.
Jeremy, I want to tell you something.
Listen to new episodes of Bone Valley Season 2 starting April 9th on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. And to hear the entire new season ad-free with exclusive content starting April 9th, subscribe to Lava for Good Plus on Apple Podcasts.
Catch the Minnesota Wild take on Dallas this Sunday with the Unreal Golf Ticket Pack. Score your exclusive ticket package, including a ticket to the game, an exclusive Unreal and Wild co-branded hat, and a meet and greet with the one and only Shooter McGavin himself, Christopher McDonald. Don't miss out. Get all the details and secure your tickets now at KFAN.com. Keyword calendar.
Speaking about securing tickets, if you'd like to see Flop, Sweat, and Tears, Common Sauce, and Larry Mondello Friday at Styx Tavern at Dahlgreen Golf Course in Chaska, go to their website in order to... Oh, wait, we're sold out. I can still hear the sound, can you?
On your microphone, no.
So you don't hear the, almost like a, not a buzz, but like...
I hear like kind of like gnat sound, but
yes.
not the microphone sound I was hearing earlier.
I hadn't heard a microphone sound. This is what I'm hearing. There is something definitely wrong because this is not an everyday occurrence. But as long as we're on the air and nobody else cares, I'll just move on. We're sold out, but we are going to give away another pair of tickets today. We gave away a pair yesterday. They're the hottest ticket in town, obviously. We gave away a pair yesterday. The morning show gave away a pair today, and then I'll be giving away another pair this afternoon. And then again, Thursday, the morning show will give away a pair of tickets, as I will as well. Text messages accepted at the Bradshaw and Bryant KFAN text line, 64686. Don't bother calling, 1-800-320-5326, unless we're doing a giveaway. We don't answer the phone. Emails, I might get to them, booth@kfan.com. And I know I've been encouraged. I haven't been ordered to yet, but I've been encouraged to do more talkbacks, and maybe we'll do some of those today. If we can come, I'd like to come up with a specific topic like we did with last week. I don't remember. Maybe it was the week before when you were here. We came up with a specific topic, and then people weigh in on it. Maybe it was A-Rod. Should we have him or shouldn't we have him? But we could always do that. But the best way to contact us is the KFAN text line, the Bradshaw and Bryant KFAN text line at 64686. This one says, just common know the definition of recant. This is the second day in a row I've had to explain it. And I probably should just let it go and let people believe what they want to believe. I do know what the real definition is. This is a Frontenac story. Speaking of Frontenac, it was Jeff Hagedorn was doing evenings 6 to 9. I was his producer. He started using the word recant over and over and over again, using it. He didn't know the definition. He was talking about recollecting a story or retelling a story. Recant means taking something back. And he did it for the entire show. And then after the show, I told him he was saying it wrong. And he said, well, why didn't you stop me? I goes, because I thought it was funny. So then from that day on, I've always used the word recant in the wrong. I had to email somebody the other day. They emailed me and asked me if I understood what the word meant. And I absolutely, positively do. Then I received this text message that reads as follows. Best NBA game of the season, and Commons recanting his smoking days. Shrugging my shoulders, shaking my head. Then I texted him, you forgot about rolling your eyes, because it's three things. It's all I can do is roll my eyes, shrug my shoulders, and shake my head. He forgot We've got 3 hours. We got plenty of time to get. And I don't think it was the best NBA game of the year. I think our comeback against OKC was the best game. We were done. We were out. We were down 24 with 8 minutes to go, and we roared back. It's interesting. I did not watch the game last night. Which shouldn't come as a surprise to anybody. I monitored the score early. I was spending my time prepping for today's show by reading, sports your whole life, just sports and news articles and such like that. Fell asleep on the couch, woke up about 12:30. I looked at my phone and I had not received a message from one of my basketball sources that anytime the Wolves win, he'll text me, gelling and stacking, meaning the team is gelling, Common, we're stacking wins. And when I didn't see that, I assumed that meant the Wolves had lost, because there would be no reason for him to send me a text saying gelling and stacking if they hadn't won. I checked the score. Lo and behold, the reason he didn't know, he couldn't get to the end of the game either. It was a 9 o'clock start, and it went to double overtime, and the Wolves won the game. I wake up this morning. Sunlight hurt my eyes. Lovely day, lovely day. Someone says they're hearing too much compression, and that's what it is. It's too much compression.
Compression?
That's exactly what it is. So, I
blame fullness. Everything was great until he came in.
Maybe urine's dripping down the sides of the walls here in our studio. So, but then I've come to find out how the Wolves won the game, and go look. Have you ever heard the old saying, Tennessee, never look a gift horse in the mouth? Do you know where that comes from?
No.
Back in horse trading days, you might give someone a horse for something, and if it was a gift for you, or you weren't traded, but if you were given a horse, don't look it in the mouth to check its teeth to see if it's healthy. It was a gift, so don't take it too seriously. They were gifted that game. Did you see the 2 gaffes by Westbrook?
I have seen that highlight, yes.
It was unbelievable. So the Wolves are down 1. I don't know if it was an inbounds pass or a steal, but Denver's got the ball. It's a 2-on-1 break. Westbrook misses the layup. Then, to add injury to insult, or is it insult to injury, the Wolves take the ball down. Who threw up the 3-point prayer at a last shot of the game? Nah. Throws up a 3-point prayer at the buzzer, doesn't go in, but Westbrook fouls him on a 3-point shot.
You've got to be kidding me.
This is a guy who, he's been an all-star, right? I mean, and he's a savvy veteran, right? He's been playing for years. What's the cardinal rule or the cardinal sin? You never foul somebody on a 3-point shot at the buzzer. If it goes in, it goes in. But you don't foul him because he missed the 3-point shot.
It also wasn't like a high percentage 3.
No.
Like he was rushed to get that off before the buzzer.
Exactly.
Like he's not square on his shot.
So, and again, I'm certainly not asking the Timberwolves to, you know what? That was just a bad mistake. We feel bad for Westbrook. Let's give you the win. I mean, but and give them credit. They fought back to get back into the basketball game, but they were given a gift.
By the way, that foul.
Yep.
I haven't heard like anybody talk about it. I didn't hear anyone on social media. Should that have been called a foul? Right. I understand like he got a little contact on the body well after the shot.
Yeah.
But it was also was trying to sell it. Like he was intentionally falling back to make it look like it was a foul. That is one of those, if you're one of those who thinks can't let the refs decide the game kind of calls, where that was kind of a iffy.
Well,
he didn't get anything on his arm on his shot. He was already back on the ground before he got touched by Westbrook. It was barely kind of brushed. But just sold it.
Well, and we've talked about this for quite some time, on again, off again. I think I brought it up last week. We repeat ourselves a lot here on the Common Man program. Basketball I think, really is the toughest sport to officiate. I really believe it is. And so, you're right. I don't think that's a foul, but I guess at the letter of the law it is. There was another one of those I can't remember, it was the Friday. All the NCAA games go together. I don't know if it was in the Texas Tech game, or if it was in one of the Sunday games where there was a foul call and there was no contact whatsoever in any way, shape, or form. Someone says was definitely hit on the arm.
I would have to look at that again. Yeah, I did not think he was hit on the arm.
I didn't take a real close look at it, but I just assumed they called it, and they called it. Someone else says to me about they're saying with our audio problems, they're saying I'm hearing the sound of a lot of hot air being blown around in the studio. And maybe that is what the problem is, because I do tend to, I've got the market cornered on hot air. What I texted, or tweeted, I think I did it either this morning or last night. For me, the most amazing thing was it looks like it took 76 games, but it looks like the Wolves played hard start to finish for the first time this season. Now, it took them 76 games to get there, but they finally did. And I'm thinking for the first time, because Mike Malone, the head coach of the Denver Nuggets, we played the soundbite yesterday, he accused his team of not trying hard enough against the Wolves. And then he said his scout, by the way, when scouting Wolves on film, he sees the Wolves not trying as hard as they should against other teams. In other words, he said they really try hard against us and we don't try hard against them. But then when we watch the Wolves on film, they don't try hard against any other teams. So it sounds like the Wolves, and that's my whole point in this is if the Wolves tried as hard in every other game this year as they did in this one, we wouldn't be talking about trying to fight for the 6th playoff spot or the 5th playoff spot in getting out of the play-in stage. We might be up where OKC is. We might have a 2 seed or a 3 seed and have a much better, home court advantage, have a lesser team to play to start it out instead of, and again, their schedule is relatively, I never like to use the word easy in sports. I'll call it less difficult. They have a less difficult schedule. But again, it all depends if they want to try hard or not. That's the only problem. If they go into their next game against, I think they play Brooklyn next, are they going to play hard against Brooklyn or are they just going to mail it in against Brooklyn and then they put themselves in the danger of losing another game? But there you go. Let's take a break. And when we return, I was supposed to do controversial Vikings news. Well, we'll do that on the other side of the break because I've got some. And we'll do that next year on the Common Man program on the Fan.
Something unexpected happened after Jeremy Scott confessed to killing Michelle Schofield in Bone Valley Season 1.
I just knew him as a kid.
Long, silent voices from his past came forward.
And he was just staring at me.
And they had secrets of their own to share.
Gilbert King. I'm the son of Jeremy Lynn Scott.
I was no longer just telling the story. I was part of it.
Every time I hear about my dad, it's, oh, he's a killer. He's just straight evil.
I was becoming the bridge between a killer and the son he'd never known.
If the cops and everything would have done their job properly, my dad would have been in jail. I would have never existed.
I never expected to find myself in this place. Now, I need to tell you how I got here.
At the end of the day, I'm literally a son of a killer.
Bone Valley, Season 2. Jeremy.
Jeremy, I want to tell you something.
Listen to new episodes of Bone Valley Season 2 starting April 9th on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. And to hear the entire new season ad-free with exclusive content starting April 9th, subscribe to Lava for Good Plus on Apple Podcasts.
Catch the tourney finals with us. Join Max Fuller next Monday night for a KFAN tournament finals watch party at the Rabbit Hole in Minneapolis. Stop by starting at 7:30 to see a champion crown with our own Max Fuller. And make sure to ask how you can secure your own KFAN swag. Get the full details now at KFAN.com, keyword calendar.
Couple 13-14 past Common Man program. I'm Common. He is 10 to be the legendary one. Mark Rosen will join us.
Oh, boy.
Just before 2 o'clock. My guess is he'll be very excited about his Minnesota Timberwolves again, and he will declare that there is no team that the Minnesota Timberwolves should fear heading into the season, or into postseason play. Did Jess get a chance to listen? I love engineering on the air, quite frankly. I mean, we're really loose on this radio station, at least on the Common Man program. I think people realize that we have no rhyme nor reason to really what we do. But I wonder if he was able to hear that.
Well, you don't hear it anymore, do you?
No, it's gone.
Yeah, Jess is a genius.
Can you ask him what it was? So he heard it, and he said, well, pot down the phones. The phones were potted up from the previous show. So I guess he'll either reboot something with the phones or we'll just keep it potted down unless we have a phone call. That's what it is.
Sounds so quiet now.
It does sound, it's perfect. Thank you.
was like that white noise. Do you have one of those white noise machines for your kids when they're young?
That's what I should have used to describe what it was. Remember I was saying it was kind of an airy vacuum. It was like I assume that's what Meat Sauce hears in his head all the time, right? That kind of white noise kind of a sound. And that's what it was. That's the way to describe it. It's like a white noise sound. And it's happened before, and now we know the cure. There ain't no cure for the summertime blues. There ain't no cure for Avatar that we know of. We think of the aggravated Vikings anticipatory traumatic abandonment reaction syndrome. We think winning a big game would do that, getting a Lombardo trophy, but it's never happened, so we don't know. And now we know the cure for the white noise Meat Sauce sound on the air if it ever happens again. So there we go. Peek at the Purple, brought to you by our pals at Affordable Electric. You heard in the last break, they're looking for a journeyman electrician. Competitive wages. It's a full-time job. They also provide health insurance, a simple plan with a 3% match, a company truck, bonuses, and the ability to earn commissions. Don't delay. Apply today. Visit the website at affordable-electric.com. And remember, Affordable Electric is shockingly affordable. There really isn't any controversial Vikings news going on right now, Tennessee. Really, the only event, for lack of a better term, maybe you could help me with this, but maybe the only event before, I hear it again.
Yeah, we're testing it.
We're testing it. Test 1, 2, 3. Untesting 3, 2, 1. The draft is next. I mean, after the draft, then it's OTAs, mini camps, and training camp. The draft, we are your home for the Minnesota Vikings draft. We'll be at the draft party, right? Broadcasting live like we always do. It's a big event. That'll be Thursday, the 25th. Chad Abbott asked.
It's the 24th, isn't it?
Is it the 24th?
Yeah, Thursday's 24th.
24th.
25th is the second best day in all of sports.
So the 24th of Chad Abbott asked if I'd be available to help with draft coverage. Bad break. That's also the golf opener up at Grandview. And he said, well, no! It's your golf opener is always Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Why go up Thursday? When you're I'm not engineering that day. When you're going up representing the radio station with a client that's been spending money with us for 25 years, you go early and you spend time with the client. That's how you establish relationships and keep those business relationships and friendships. I mean, those people at Grandview are my friends. Now, we call it Camp Richard, not Camp David. Camp David's where the president goes. The official unofficial ambassador of Minnesota Golf goes to Camp Richard. You can call me Dick for short. I did it again today when I went to the Caribou. Name, Dick. What's your name? Dick. It's the most fun when it's at inside, where all of a sudden they go, order for Dick. That's me. And I raise my hand like that. That's me, real happy. That's me. Funny stuff, huh? I do things just to amuse myself. How
old are you?
If 6 were 9, I'd be 99 years old. Great song by Jimi Hendrix, If 6 Were 9. Can I ask you a favor? Is it really hard? I don't want to go back to licensed music every break. But if I wanted to do a Dylan duet once a week, is it hard for you to take that out? Because I know we can't do that. I mean, is it really?
Depends on how slow the computer wants to be that day, to be honest with you.
Because I miss doing a Dylan duet every once in a while. And I'd like to do the weather forecast over Thunder Island every once in a while. I mean, is it that much to ask?
I thought we would have had changes with that by now, but apparently not.
No, that's never going to change. So, I mean, just for old time's sake. You know, we've been together a long time. I don't ask for much from you. I really don't. Do I? Just once a week, do a Dylan duet or a weather forecast, and you just remove it from the podcast.
As long as I remember to do it, and
I'll remind you.
Because if it gets caught in the podcast, then I get in trouble.
Well, I'll remind you to do it. The Vikings have, I believe it is, 4 picks in the upcoming National Football League draft. As we speak, that could change. Because as you know, Tennessee, which pick, what is our first round? What number is our first round pick right now? Do you remember?
I thought we were at 24.
24 is our first round pick. We also have, what else do we have? We have the compensatory pick between 3 and 4.
Which is now the first pick after the third round.
Right. The first pick after the third
So it was
round.
the best compensatory pick we could have gotten.
Okay. And then do we have 2 fifths?
Well, we had 2 5s, but we traded one of them.
Oh.
To get Jordan Mason. So we had a a swap.
That's
so
right.
We moved to San Fran's 6th round pick.
Sixth round pick.
We have 24 overall. We have 97 overall, which is that compensatory pick after the third round. They were at 139 in the 5th and 187 in the 6th.
I'm predicting that the Minnesota Vikings, with the 24th pick in the National Football League draft, will trade down to 32.
Oh my gosh.
And they'll select outside linebacker Kelvin Banks Jr. from Texas. That's my prediction. I've been breaking things down.
Another edge?
Yep. Talking to people, reading some things. I think that's what the Vikings are going to do. Actually, some beat writer thinks they're going to do that. And I just needed to fill a segment, so I decided to go with somebody's mock draft. I just love the mock drafts.
Wouldn't that be a little telling if they went edge rusher with their first round pick a year after they just gave up half of our draft for Dallas Turner?
That would be. And, the whole idea of the mock drafts, that's why we do, and it's literally one of the most popular segments in all of sports talk radio, is the Common Man programs mocking the mock draft that we do Thursday of the draft, where we let listeners select teams, and then they call in the 2:00 hour. Rosen's always standing by, and he's there to, if somebody, because sometimes somebody will say, hey, I want to do the 24th pick for the Vikings. And then let's say it's Warren and he can't call in. We don't get him in, then Rosen will take over for that pick. But we do that because we like to mock that whole mock draft concept, because what happened?
Sorry.
I thought maybe you collapsed.
No, I'm good.
I understand the interest in mock drafts. They're fun. Everybody, we love football. You like to have an idea who we're, Meat Sauce is obsessed with it, as we know. But as you know, Tenebys, we've talked about, and I think you agree with me, mock drafts are an exercise in futility, because nobody really knows what team is going to select what player. And all it takes is, like we say, is if everybody, if most of the mock draft thinks, it's a no-brainer at the third pick, and then if that team trades the third pick and trades down for two, well, now the mock draft, it's all
complete
gone.
Trickle-down effect.
Complete trickle-down effect. It changes everything. So it's silly to do. And, I think over the years, people have looked back at mock drafts to see how accurate they are. And usually there's holes in every single one of them, and large holes. I mean, generally speaking, they get the first few right. Like a certain quarterback is going to go number 1, right? They're just the way. Now this year, because I don't know, is the Ward character and the Sanders character, are either one of them, I've heard they're not considered sure things, but the Ward guy's expected to go 1 or not?
I believe that's where the betting odds are right now.
All right. And then after that, I don't know if it's a crapshoot. I don't look very closely at the mock drafts. But that is the problem with it. And so you don't know. I mean, with the Vikings sitting there, you would think, because they have, for 2025 only, I tend to believe that the Vikings, and let's just say they decide to go with J.J. McCarthy, and whether it is McCarthy or Rodgers, if they do go and sign Rodgers for some reason because they decide that it's a win now and we trust Rodgers to do that. But I feel like they kind of feel like they have all the pieces in place. They went 14-3 last year. They knew their two biggest issues were the offensive line, the interior, and the interior of the defensive line. And they addressed those issues with a lot of money in the offseason via free agency. You got receivers. We went and got another running back. We had 2 defensive backs? Is it Isaiah Rodgers? Is that a defensive back? Where do I hear that name?
He's cornerback.
Okay, cornerback, and then we went and got won't ya, Jeff Okudah. Ding, 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 ding. So why wouldn't you take that 24th and say, my guess is they will trade the 24th. And to me, that just seems logical, though, unless all of a sudden, they get to that pick and it's like, there's one guy out there that they think is, a future Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
But if they don't, if
there's a tier drop off.
Yes. If there's a tier drop, then you go ahead and say, look, we may as well acquire some more draft picks because, again, there might be another team that thinks they're one player away and they think it's this guy. So I think they'll probably trade that draft pick. And I know that's not always
knowing Kwesi, he's the type of guy that will trade next year's draft picks to all of a sudden move up.
Well, that's true,
get
too.
more picks in this draft. So,
the thing is, I tend to get this feeling. I know that they talked to Sir Mark Wilf also during the owners' meeting. He basically said, we leave the football decisions up to the football guys. In other words, he let it be known that he and his brother Zygmunt don't get involved with that. That's what they claim. And, I tend to believe him. There's no reason. I mean, he could easily say, oh, yeah, they consult with us and we have our opinions, but he says no. But I've also heard through the grapevine sources that I trust that when O'Connell signed his extension, he also asked, I want a bit more say in how the organization is run. So in other words, I think Kwesi's still your president of football operations or general manager, wherever that title is, but I think
the balance of power is shifting.
I think it's shifting. I think O'Connell has a seat at the table now, right? He probably always did, but I mean even more of a he doesn't just have a seat now without any. You know how they at each end of a dining table they have the ones with the arms on them. He's got one with arms on him now.
You know who else has a seat at the table?
Who's that?
B-Flow.
B-Flow. That's another.
I just saw KOC talking yesterday about because the Isaiah Rodgers signing, they signed him early in free agency, not for a ton of money, not a ton of accolades thrown his way, right? Like when he was signed, you weren't thinking, hey, that's our starting cornerback moving forward. And KOC made a comment yesterday down at the owners meetings of, that was a guy B-Flow picked out, and like he's had a pretty good track record with us. That when he has a guy that he's got his eye on, basically. So, Kwesi gets a lot of credit for their free agent moves last year, but I do wonder how many of them were B-Flow going, let's get that guy. Let's get that guy. This guy fits my system. This guy fits my system.
Well, I would bet. I'd be willing to bet. And it's not to take anything away from Kwesi because he still has to make the contacts, talk to the agents, and do all those things. But my guess is all the guys they got last year were handpicked.
A couple of them had experience working with him previously, yeah.
They were handpicked by B-Flow.
Van
Ginkel, Grenard, Cashman. I bet they were all handpicked. That'd be my guess. Now, I could be wrong, but that would...
Probably the corners, too.
And the corners, too.
Shaq, where you at in Gilmore.
And remember, Pace was an unsigned, and that ended up being a really good undrafted free agent pick. I mean, he's been very, very effective. That
might have been a B-Flow guy.
I think it was.
Yeah.
But what I remember...
Or is that from 2 years ago?
Yeah, it was 2 years ago.
Okay.
And what I remember reading was that B-Flow was really high.
Yeah, you're right.
B-Flow was really, really high. And so I'm sure B-Flow said once they got through, he went to... I'm sure they have meetings and they say, okay, what guys out there do you think that didn't go in the draft we should bring in, invite into camp as an undrafted free agent and give them a look? And my guess is it was Flores who said, the Ivan Pace Jr. kid, bring him in. I think, I see something in him. And so I tend to agree. I think B-Flow, it's, remember we used to have the triangle of authority that really ended up, who was triangle authority of again? Was that the Spielman?
No. Yes, that was Spielman.
But it wasn't Zimmer, was it? It was previous to that, wasn't it?
Was it Childress?
I think it was Childress. That's exactly what it was. And so it would be Chili. Spielman must have been the owner, right? No, I don't remember. But it was the triangle of authority. And it didn't seem, it was like too many cooks spoiling the broth.
Even in a triangle, there's still someone on top of that triangle.
Well, that's it. And I kind of tend to think that's what we have here. And so my guess is I'm going to go with they are going to trade that pick. And what they trade, I don't think they're going to just trade down a couple of slots. I think they want to. And in this case, I know Spielman was known for accumulating a lot. He gets ripped for accumulating a lot of
fifth and sixth and seventh
round picks. I don't mind accumulating picks if you don't have a lot, right? And if you don't see anybody there, I'm not saying trade your first for 2 5ths and 2 6ths, but if you can take your first round pick overall and get a third and a fourth or something like that, or even, I don't mind accumulating more when you don't have very many. They have fewer picks than anybody in the draft.
Well, and frankly, I think we're going into this draft, and give me a preposterous statement if you want. They don't have any glaring needs. I guess right now maybe another corner, but other than that, there's not a spot on the roster where you go, man, we have a hole that we need to fill right now. You've got third wide receiver and, some backup positions, and obviously you need a backup quarterback. You have stuff like that, but in terms of a major need, first time in a long time, you can go into a draft and go, well, if we just like this guy, we'll take him. It doesn't matter. We don't have to only draft guys that we have needs for. We can draft guys that we think are the best out there.
I think maybe if you're looking at any, God, we're sounding like PA, team without a weakness.
I love you. You love me. We're an extended family
with a great GM. We'll be 14-3. We're all about positive. But if it was, I would say another defense back. And then I was reading too that is our left guard Brandel?
Yes.
And I've heard that they like him, but they don't love him.
Sure.
So if you found a lineman, I suppose, especially a lineman from Wichita.
I'm not saying it's a perfect roster. I'm just saying it's not a glaring.
Yes, no, right. Yes.
God, we have to fill this spot.
Right. But if you did look at any spot, it would be maybe defensive back or a lineman. I really like the lineman from Wichita.
And I should note.
Second time I've tried the joke.
Sorry.
It's okay.
I should note.
Funny. Thank you.
I'm talking about for the year 2025.
25, yes.
There's no glaring needs. You have a bunch of aging veterans with Harrison Smith and the guys on the defensive line. And even now your interior offensive lineman, you just got to acquire free agency. They're not the youngest in the world. So there are still some long-term needs you need to fill, but I'm just talking about for 2025.
We're getting ripped. Well, one person said that Alan Horton said it was a foul. Well, what else is Alan Horton going to say? I mean, I love Alan, but he's the voice of the Wolves. I'm sure he saw it that way.
Well, and I will say, I'm not saying it's an awful call. How do you call that in a situation? I recognize there was contact at the end of it. I'm just saying and maybe I missed the part where he hit his hand. I did not see that when I watched the replay. I thought it was him hitting his body.
Well, I think that's
sold that. Not flop backwards on that.
I think what they're saying is that the rule is you have to give a guy a place to land, and he didn't have a place to land. And I'm
just saying he brushed him. I don't think it was.
I haven't seen the highlight. I've not seen a close up of them. I've just seen the camera that shows the entire court, and you do see him go under him, but I don't know if it was or not. But I tend to agree with you. It's the toughest sport to officiate because there's not a game that goes by where players and coaches complain about the officiating. It's fast paced, and did he make contact or didn't? And for those that want to believe that if the officials should always be in the right place at the right time, you've got 3 guys running the officiating and running the court with 10 guys. It's not that simple. So I actually give the officials a break. But that's why it's always the game. There's always going to be a handful of calls that were called a foul that weren't, and there's always going to be a handful of calls that nothing was called and there should have been. That's just how the game is, and you just got to accept it. That's why. And you don't have to believe me because I don't care, but even in all my days of watching baby brother Peter play in-house, travel basketball, high school basketball at AAU, never did I complain about a call, ever. It doesn't do you any good. It raises your blood pressure. And even if I saw a call and said, that wasn't a foul, I just roll my eyes, shrug my shoulders, and shake my head because it's an inexact science.
And it's human beings who aren't perfect.
That's exactly right. When we return, 534, Tennessee, a tease, please.
Glenn has finally waved the white flag.
Something unexpected happened after Jeremy Scott confessed to killing Michelle Schofield in Bone Valley Season 1.
Every time I hear about my dad is, oh, he's a killer. He's just straight evil.
I was becoming the bridge between Jeremy Scott and the son he'd never known.
At the end of the day, I'm literally a son of a killer.
Listen to new episodes of Bone Valley Season 2 starting April 9th on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.